Shri Sai Ram. Sandeha Nivarini, Chapter 16. I have been anxious for a long time to ask you some things and to learn the answers from you. Today I have the chance. This manas and its principle are unknown categories. Their meanings do not get fixed and clear without actual experience. But Swami, this delusion of samsara, it overpowers us thick and strong, like the darkness of clouds in the rainy season. What is this mighty force that drags us along? This is what has been bothering me. I feel persons like me should understand these things clearly in the very beginning. Will you kindly enlighten me? Well, my boy, what am I to say? You are suffering from fright, imagining a tree stump seen in the park to be a man. That is, you are mistaking the non-dual, the full, the Advaita, the Purna, which is Brahman, as a separate, incomplete Jiva, and suffering from that error. That delusion is the cause of all your sufferings. How then did this delusion come about? You slept, and so you dreamed. You slept the sleep of Ajnana and Moha, and so you dreamt this samsara. Awake, and you will have no more dreams, and when the dream is gone, the delusion also goes. Swami, what is this ignorance? What are its characteristics? How does it operate? That which is attached to the body and feels as I is the jiva. The jiva is outward faced. It believes all this mutable jagat and samsara. It is immersed in both. And when the jiva ignores its advait swarupa and forgets it, we call it ajnana. Is that clear? But Swami, the Shastras all of them say that samsara is caused by Maya. You are now saying it is due to Ajnana. What is the distinction between the two? Ajnana itself is known variously as Maya, Pradhana, Prakriti, Avyakta, Avidya, Tamas, etc. Hence, understand this well. Sansara is the consequence of Ajnana. How can Ajnana produce this samsara? I want to know, Gurudeva, from you. Know that Ajnana has two powers, Avtarana Shakti and Vikshep Shakti, the veiling power and the projecting power. It veils the reality and projects upon it the unreal. The Avatarana Shakti also acts in two different ways. Asit Avarna and Abhan Avarna. When a Jnani and an Ajnani meet, though the Jnani teaches that the Atma is one and non-dual, the Ajnani denies it. He cannot grasp the reality so easily. Even when he hears the truth, he has not got the faith and the steadfastness to imbibe it, and he will dismiss it with a shrug of indifference. This is the Asat Avarna. Now about the Abhan Avarna. Even when the person believes by his study of the Shastras and by the grace of providence that there is non-dual Atma, he dismisses it as non-existent, carried away by cursory and superficial arguments. Though he has Chit or the consciousness which is aware of that very thing which he denies, the Moha makes him declare that it is non-existent. This is the sinister role of Abhan Avarna. You spoke of the Vikshepa Shakti also. What is meant by that? Though you are formless, changeless, and your nature is Ananda or bliss, you are deluded into believing, feeling, and acting as if you are body which has form, which changes, and which is the seat of pain and grief. You refer to yourself as the doer and enjoyer. You speak of I, you, they, this, that, etc., deluded into believing variety and multiplicity where there is only one. This illusion, projecting many on the one, is called Vikshepa Shakti or Adhyaropa, superimposition. What is that? When you superimpose the object silver on mother of pearl, when you see not the stump but the human form, you have superimposed on it, or when instead of the stretch of desert you see a lake, you have superimposed the unreal on the real. This is Adhyaropa. Well, Baba, what is the real? What is the unreal? Please explain that too. The one and only non-dual Sat Chit Ananda Parabrahma is the real. Just as the name and the rupa of the snake are superimposed on a rope, this Jagat, inclusive of everything from Brahma to a blade of grass, all creatures, all inert objects like the earth, is superimposed on that Parabrahma Vastu. The Jagat is the Avastu, the unreal, that is the superimposed thing. This superimposition of the Nama Rupa Jagat on that Advaita Vastu, how is it caused? By Maya. Maya means the Agyan Shakti of the above said Parabrahmam. Agyan Shakti means, I told you, did I not? The incapacity to understand Brahman, though you are fundamentally Brahman, that is Ajnana. Well, how does that Ajnana produce all this Jagat? The Ajnana Shakti does not allow you to see the rope. Instead, it imposes the snake upon it. It makes you see the Jagat where there is only Brahman. Swami, when there is only the Advaita non-dual one, how did the creation of all these worlds happen? You have come back again to where we started from. Even if I tell you now, it is very hard to grasp. Still, since you have asked, I shall tell you. Listen, the Ajnana Shakti exists in the latent form in the rope itself. That is to say, it is latent, unmanifested in the Brahman. This is called Avidya. It has as its base Brahman, which is Chitta and Ananda. Of the two powers that Maya has, the Avarna and the Vikshepa, the Avarna veils the Brahman and the Vikshepa makes it manifest as Manas. The Manas creates all this panorama of name and form through the exuberance of Vasanas. Wonderful, Swami! How wonderful is this Prakriti! What is the distinction between the waking stage and the dream stage? Both are of the nature of illusion. In both, we have the Vasanas operating. The Jagat is the stable illusion, the dream is the unstable illusion. This is the distinction. There is no other. Swami, how can it be said that this Jagat is unreal when it is concrete and capable of being experienced in a variety of ways? It is a delusion that hides the reality from the understanding. The Jagat is as much a superimposition on Brahman as a series of pictures on the wall. Avidya is said to be Anadi, isn't it? Why then is it blamed so much? The beginningless avidya is ended when vidya dawns. This is only logical. Darkness is destroyed by light. Every object has 5 parts: origin, nature, function, period, result. But in the case of the Paramatma, these cannot be enunciated, though everything that has evolved as if from him has them. Maya alone has no explicable origin. It is its own proof. It is there in Brahman with Brahman. It is Anadi. No cause can be given to explain how it manifested itself so luxuriously. As a bubble rises through force of its own nature, up from the water, a force which takes the form of Nama Rupa emerges from the limitless, the full, the Paramatma. That is all. It is only the ignorant who will speak ill of avidya. Really, there is no well or ill. How can it be said that Maya has no origin or hetu? Just as the potter's handwork is the hetu for the clay to take the form of the pot, the sankalpa of Ishvara is essential for the force latent in Brahman to become patient, to become patent. In the final dissolution or Mahapralaya, Ishvara too will become non-existent. Brahman alone will exist, isn't it? Then how can the Sankalpa of Ishvara be the Hetu? It cannot be. While considering this subject, you should not take Brahma, Vishnu and Ishvara as 3 separate entities. These 3 are forms shaped by the 3 gunas. All 3 are one Paramatma. But since it is difficult to understand the working of the world, it is explained and grasped as 3 forms engaged in 3 types of actions bearing 3 names. At the time of creation, dissolution is absent. Both can coexist only beyond time. Man who exists in time, action and cause can never hope to grasp it. When you transcend the 3 gunas, you too can attain that, but not till then. So without spending time in such understandable problems, engage yourself in the things you urgently need, traversing the path which will lead you to the goal. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.